What if you could build a $1 million fortune starting with nothing? No safety net, no family connections, no MBA, just grit, timing, and a spark of insight. Like the man who turned $100 and a camera into a YouTube empire, or the woman who baked cookies in a tiny kitchen and turned her neighborhood hobby into millions. These aren't stories of lottery winners or lucky tech bros. These are stories of regular people, and a few not-so-regular people, who turned the ordinary into something extraordinary. This is the Money Compendium, where we bring you untold stories of ordinary people who defied the odds and built financial freedom from scratch. Number 1. The college janitor who became a real estate mogul. What happens when the person cleaning the halls sees more opportunity than the people inside the classrooms? Joe Cesso was a janitor at a small Midwestern university. Every night after his shift, he'd walk past the same dilapidated rental property just off campus. A leaning old house with a sagging porch and broken windows, half abandoned and ignored. Most people saw an eyesore. Joe saw cash flow. He had no credit, no real estate license, and barely a few $100 to his name. But he scraped together a $200 down payment with a handshake deal from a local seller who was tired of fixing toilets. Joe rolled up his sleeves, did every repair himself with YouTube tutorials, and rented it out to students for 3 times his mortgage. Then he did it again. And again, 20 properties later, Joe Cesso sold his portfolio for $5 million. No inheritance, no private equity, just blue-collar hustle, smart observation, and reinvesting every dime. That's what happens when you turn a mop into a million. And that's just the beginning. Because next, a teenager made millions without ever leaving his dorm room. Number 2. The gamer turned millionaire from a laptop. Can you really build generational wealth playing video games? One teenager figured it out. Mark Ludwig was 18, broke, and addicted to strategy games. But unlike most of his peers, he started documenting everything: in-depth guides, walkthroughs, even data breakdowns. He uploaded videos to YouTube from his dorm room using an old webcam and a $30 mic. For a year, almost no one watched. Then one day, his "How to Optimize Your Gameplay" video hit the front page of Reddit. Overnight, his channel exploded. But Mark didn't just bask in the views. He launched a niche digital course teaching players how to monetize their gaming skills. He made over $1.2 million in 6 months, all without leaving his dorm room or spending a cent on ads. He reinvested in gear, built a small team, and by age 20, had a 6-figure annual income. Mark turned a joystick into a jet stream of cash. And next, someone turned an oven into a cash register. Number 3. The home baker who built a cookie empire. What happens when your side hustle goes from 10 trays a week to 10,000 orders a month? Dana Davis was working retail full-time and baking cookies in her 1-bedroom apartment just to unwind. She started sharing her creations in a local Buy Nothing Facebook group, not even for money at first, just to brighten people's day. But the reaction was instant. "Can I order some? Do you deliver?" Her first week, 10 orders. By the end of the month, 200. She didn't build a Shopify store or run Facebook ads. She used Instagram and direct messages. As demand grew, she rented a shared commercial kitchen, then hired a helper. The cookies kept flying out the door. In just 3 years, Dana sold over $2 million in cookies. Her secret? Hyperlocal buzz, mouthwatering photos, and actual love baked into every batch. She didn't need a storefront, just a baking sheet and a smartphone. But now, let's meet someone who turned a steel mill paycheck into a $4 million fitness chain. Okay, pause. Let's be real for a second. If you think you need a tech startup idea, an elite college background, or a million TikTok followers to build real wealth, you're missing what these people all saw: opportunity in the ordinary. From kitchens to dorms, janitor closets to soccer fields, these stories prove you can start anywhere and still build something that matters. And if you've been enjoying these stories so far, do us a favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to the Money Compendium. It helps us keep these stories alive, and might just spark the next one. Okay, now back to the action. And trust me, this next one is good. Number 4. The steelworker who became a fitness franchise owner. How do you go from punching steel to punching the clock on your own terms? You wake up before sunrise, and you move people. Carlos Martinez worked nights at a local steel mill. On weekends, he coached youth soccer and ran casual boot camps at the park for his fellow dads. $5 per session, just enough to cover water and gear. Word spread. More people showed up. Within a few months, he had 50 regulars. Using credit from his day job and a bit of help from a cousin, he leased a dusty storefront and opened his first gym. He painted it himself, built the website himself, trained every member personally. 5 years later, that humble boot camp has grown into a 5-location fitness brand, grossing $4 million a year. His model is simple. Build community first, then scale the experience. He went from steel beams to gym beams and never looked back. But the next one? She used fame to build a fortune the red carpet never saw coming. Number 5. The actor who became a billionaire, Reese Witherspoon. What if your biggest payday didn't come from acting, but from owning the story? Reese Witherspoon was already a household name, rom-com royalty, Oscar winner. But behind the scenes, she was quietly building something bigger, her own media company. She founded Hello Sunshine to tell women-led stories that Hollywood ignored. At first, the industry didn't take her seriously, but she didn't care. She funded scripts, she bought rights, she executive produced, and one hit after another, Big Little Lies, The Morning Show, Little Fires Everywhere, proved her vision was golden. In 2021, she sold a majority stake in Hello Sunshine in a deal reportedly worth $900 million. Reese didn't inherit a studio. She built one and flipped the script on what it means to be a Hollywood success, from Elle Woods to empire builder. And next, back to everyday people, including a truck driver who made $1 million discovery on the side of the road. Number 6. The truck driver who created a logistics app. Can a guy in a big rig outthink Silicon Valley? In this case, yes, and he made millions doing it. Alex Wu had been driving trucks for 15 years, hauling freight from New Mexico to the Dakotas, sometimes logging 12-hour shifts without a single real break. One night, stuck behind a jackknifed semi, he missed a delivery window that cost his company thousands. The problem? A buggy, outdated routing app that didn't update in real time. That frustration lit a fire. Back in his garage, Alex began tinkering. He wasn't a trained coder, but he taught himself the basics on YouTube, piecing together a rudimentary app with GPS integration. It cost him less than $1,000 to get a prototype live. He started sharing it with fellow drivers. Within a few weeks, small carriers were asking how they could use it too. He named it Routewise, raised a small seed round from a local business incubator, and within a year had hundreds of fleets on board. The software optimized routes, tracked loads, and reduced idle times, saving carriers tens of thousands annually. In 2022, he sold Routewise to a national logistics company for $8 million. From wheelman to tech founder, with no degree, no connections, and one big headache that turned into a payday. But if you think you know the next name, you probably don't know how she made her billions. Number 7. The woman who became a billionaire and an icon, Oprah Winfrey. She didn't just become rich, she bought the system that made people rich. Oprah Winfrey is one of the most famous people on earth, but her rise is still one of the greatest self-made stories in history. She was born into poverty in rural Mississippi, raised by a single mother, and endured unimaginable hardships throughout her childhood. But by the time she got her first break in local television, she knew one thing: control the message, control the money. In the late 1980s, Oprah negotiated a deal most people would have missed. She gained ownership of her own show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, instead of just being its star. That deal changed everything. She created Harpo Productions, invested in her own studio, and retained rights to syndication, something unheard of for a talk show host. Then came the books, the film deals, the magazine, the OWN cable network. She reinvested nearly every dollar she made back into ownership and expansion, not lifestyle. The result? A personal net worth now estimated at $2.8 billion. She didn't invent a product. She didn't inherit a media empire. She turned her voice into capital, and then used that capital to build a kingdom. From Mississippi Dust to billionaire producer. But coming up next, a coal miner's son who built a tech company using only library Wi-Fi. Number 8. The coal miner's son who invented a tech tool. What do you do when you're stuck in a dying industry and no one's coming to save you? You build something no one else can see. Tyler Adams grew up in rural West Virginia. His father worked in the coal mines until an injury forced him into early retirement. With no money for college and no jobs outside the mines, Tyler did what most in his town did. He picked up a shovel. But on his breaks, he did something different. He went to the public library and taught himself how to code. Slowly, painfully, he learned how to build software. Not games, not social apps, but tools. His first was a simple inventory tracker he made for his shift supervisor to log safety gear. That one little tool saved hours every week, and word spread. Tyler turned it into a subscription-based platform for mine managers, and eventually for construction and manufacturing companies too. Within 5 years, his platform was generating over $5.5 million in recurring revenue. He never left the state, never wore a suit, never pitched to VCs in San Francisco, but he saw a problem in front of him, built a solution, and scaled it until the world paid attention. He coded his way out of the mines. But now let's talk about a teacher who turned frustration into a $30 million education company. Number 9. The teacher who built an EdTech platform. They say necessity is the mother of invention. And few people understand necessity better than public school teachers. Sylvia Lee was juggling 38 students in a cramped, underfunded classroom in Philadelphia. There weren't enough textbooks. The attendance sheets were still on paper. Parents were unreachable. Tech? Non-existent. So she did what any good teacher does. She figured it out. On nights and weekends, Sylvia used free tools and open-source platforms to build her own classroom management system. It handled behavior tracking, messaging with parents, grading, and more. She shared it with a few teachers at her school. Then those teachers told others. Within a year, hundreds of classrooms were using it. With support from an education grant, Sylvia launched BrightPath, a full-featured platform for K-12 classrooms. Schools now pay a small monthly fee per student, and today, the platform supports over 2 million students across the country. Sylvia's personal net worth is estimated around $30 million, but more importantly, her product is making life easier for teachers everywhere. She didn't build it to get rich. She built it because the system was broken. And now, it's one of the most trusted teacher tools in the country. From lesson plans to millions. We've just looked at 9 real people, from janitors and miners to truck drivers and teachers, who all started with less than nothing. Some built empires quietly, others exploded into public view. But every single one saw a problem, stuck with a solution, and bet on themselves even when no one else would. No rich uncle, no Ivy League team, no Shark Tank handout. Just action, repetition, and the courage to stay in the game. And if you're building something right now, a skill, a business, a creative project, remember this. Wealth doesn't require a blueprint. It just requires momentum. Keep showing up, keep building, keep betting on yourself. And when you're ready for the next step, check out our next video, 10 Side Hustles That Created Millionaires. You'll learn how everyday projects, from dog walking to digital files, steadily turned into million-dollar windfalls